Hi, everybody. This one is about the subject of unforgiveness or a lack of forgiveness. And I've come across it said in various places and a number of times about us schizoid personalities, avoidant personalities, and introverts, and honestly, many people. And it is kind of a personal trigger word for me. It's one of those words that I've been flogged with throughout my life. And it was used so many times in an unfair manner, which I could not defend myself against. So I'd like to share my feelings about that, and I'd like to give an example that proves, at least in my case, that this simply is not correct, that schizoids do not or cannot forgive. You will see me looking at my notes. I've made a few notes. This one is very important to me. The problem has always felt like, to me, that when a person offends you, verbally abuses you, mistreats you, disrespects you in whatever way. Hopefully we're not talking about extreme physical stuff. Let's just say you were trying to make a friend, you think you had a friend, and they insulted you because they were being very thoughtless. Disrespectful, thoughtless. They weren't thinking, said something awful that hurt you, and now you don't know what to do. The problem is, in my life experience, when I have tried to speak up, when I have tried to gently confront that person with what they hurt me with, most of the time you really don't get a good response. They're defensive. It can turn into an argument. A lot of times, this is the end of the friendship or acquaintanceship. Another thing that happens is, in our society, we have become expert at what I call non-apologies. There are so many forms of non-apology that I honestly ought to write a book about it. It's similar to what we call a backhanded compliment. It sounds good. It might sound like an apology, but it really is not. Later, when you sit back and think on it. I'm ignoring the phone.
We're not available right now. Please leave your name and number, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Most apologies in our society today, I have to say, I think that 9 out of 10 are insincere non-apologies.
I'll get 3,000 logs printed.
And
have a quick French, we're so glad that.
So what is it that we really need? What's the problem here? The problem here is that a genuine apology is needed in order to restore and heal the offended person. It gives back their power. It takes away the offense. It allows the victim to trust again. And the victimized person must be able to really feel this. And schizoid people and others, other personality types, we are very perceptive. We can tell when we're receiving a genuine apology or a non-apology, and we can feel whether or not we can go back to trusting this person once again. Sadly, most times, that's a no. That would be what we think, what we feel is kind of dumb. We feel like that would be kind of stupid. Here's an example. So many times, usually it's women who are victimized by abusive, violent men. It can be the other way around. It can be any kind of person. But it's a good example because many abusive ex-husbands and boyfriends will apologize, even with tears in their eyes, bringing flowers, promising they've changed, promising to change from now on. The poor woman is pressured by our society, and a lot of times this links right into religion an awful lot of the time, I notice. And under this pressure to forgive, she will return to this toxic, dangerous relationship or stay in the first place and not get out. And as we know, sometimes the result of this can be fatal because they thought that they had to forgive. They were afraid of being unforgiving or afraid of getting a divorce. A genuine apology is different. It is something that, especially people like us who are extraordinarily insightful, can recognize, and we can feel it. And I have a memory I'm going to share with you really quickly, a memory that proves that a schizoid like myself, and this is in the past when I was way worse, is capable of forgiveness. Not only capable, but I was overjoyed. Here's the story. I was odd as a child. I was constantly bullied and picked on mercilessly. Elementary school went by where the teachers wouldn't allow too much torment to happen in class. However, after the bell rang and after school was out, my bullying problem began outside. All I had to do was run faster than everybody else and get home so fast that they couldn't grab me. Now, in junior high, things were different. We had phys ed class. We had the girls' locker rooms and showers separate from the boys', same thing over on the other side. I can remember changing in and out of my dark blue hockey uniform and getting back into my regular clothes. And the abuse I endured had just continued. I mean, I knew I couldn't stand up and get physical because of the kind of trouble I would have when I got home to my parents. They would not have understood. I also had learned that nothing I ever said had really worked. So I really just endured a lot. There were two mean girls in this locker room in junior high. I always got the impression that the one named Nancy was the instigator, and the other one named, I think, Marianne, was just kind of going along with her. But it was awful. They were saving food from the lunchroom that was gooey, like let's say a jelly donut that they had opened up and had all the jelly ready. They threw it on me. They threw it on me. They threw it on my clothes. They would put it down my back. They would shove it down my back, the back of my collar, so that I had jelly and food all over my clothing and inside my clothing for my afternoon classes. Oh, pretty bad, pretty bad. So, later in life, a couple of years later, now we're in high school. And I think it was senior year, getting pretty close to leaving for college. And I took an art class. And in this art class, I set up my easel and we were going to paint. And this girl came up to me before the class really started. People were talking. It was still okay to talk for a few more minutes. She set up her easel next to mine. And this was the girl named Marianne. She looked at me and she said, "I think I remember you, and I feel like I treated you really badly. I have these bad feelings like I abused you." And I just kind of acknowledged that, yes, I know who you are and this is who I am. She gave me the most sincere apology that I think I've ever received in my entire life. I had never experienced anything like this before, ever. She said, "I feel so awful when I remember the things I did. I wish I could take them back, and I am so sorry. I don't even know you, and I don't know why I went along with my friend, and that's no excuse. I am so sorry." And I could feel the truth of her apology. This one was the real thing. What I want to tell you is that instantaneously, forgiveness just happened. I was thrilled. I said, "Wow, thank you." She had given me back some kind of lost power. She had healed something. And I immediately, instantly forgave her. And it was not even an effort. It was not a conscious effort. It wasn't something I had to think over. Not at all. The two of us worked in that art class side by side for an entire semester and got along wonderfully. I wish I could say that it carried over into life outside of school. It didn't, because we didn't really have that much in common, and because of my being schizoid. But that's not the point. the point is that even back then, with my being so self-protective, so schizoid, so abused, so defensive and closed, all it took was a proper apology for me to be absolutely thrilled to forgive. And so we certainly can. We certainly do. Like I said, the problem is more our society blames victims of all kinds. Placing the burden of forgiveness is so often the wrong thing to do because nothing is being said or done about the abuser. The abuser is not making a genuine change, and that is when you know that an apology is real or not. It must be backed up by a change in behavior and attitude. And so it is unfair to treat us like we are grudge holders. A person would only be a grudge holder if they got that beautiful apology, that genuine apology, but chose to reject it so that they would have power over that person and choose to hold a grudge. That would really be an unforgiving person. That is when you're unforgiving. And this is what leads to bitterness and hatefulness, which expands and grows like a mold. It can cause you to hate people that resemble your abuser, maybe an entire race, maybe an entire sex. It can cause you to hate places that remind you of where you suffered. I mean, it just grows and grows. Forgiveness is a complicated subject. I'm going to have to make more videos about it. You can forgive if you reach that point and if you want to, even after an abuser is dead and never gave you what you needed. But this must be after you have stood up for yourself, stayed inside your own skin, and worked through all of your healing as the victim. You may not be able to get there in your lifetime, and that is okay. That's a different kind of forgiveness. It frees you. However, this is very important. I don't want anyone to misunderstand me on this. You can forgive someone, but still not have any contact. You do not have to go back to them. You do not have to stay with them. You may not want to have any contact if they remain toxic, dangerous, unchanged, and insincere. And people like those of us who have schizoid personality disorder are very adept at sensing insincerity. And this is why we don't just hand out trust and forgiveness all the time so easily like other people may do. It only means that we are more discerning, more sensitive, maybe more fragile. We are protecting ourselves. And that is what our disorder is all about, is protecting ourselves. We really don't need and deserve to be called unforgiving. Different words need to be found. Because that hurt me. That hurts us. We don't need more labels. We don't need to have any more misinformation put out there about us. Oh, boy. I think I've covered everything. I did. Hey, not too long, not too bad. I tend to run on. Okay, so schizoid people, avoidant people, introverted people, it's not that we're unforgiving, okay? Please. Society needs to adjust to us. We have an actual personality, a condition perhaps, or a personality type that we were born with, just like autistic people, just like gay people, and we should not be asked to constantly fix and change ourselves. Guess what that means? That means you, society, you need to make the change. Accept us. Make a little effort to understand us. And God forbid, accommodate us. Okay, have to stop. Thank you for listening to me. I hope this one goes far. I love defending us schizoid people because we're just being being maligned. I hope I help. I hope I can help a little bit. See you next one. Bye-bye.